Hello everyone, my name is Liam and welcome to Liam's only 58 board games of all time. Why only 58? Because that's how many I could find to be worthy enough to put on this list. I am not someone that has 1,000 board games behind me, and that's okay. If you only have one board game, you're a board gamer. I found 58 to put on my list, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through my current 2023 ranking, recording this end of December, of Liam's only 58 board games of all time. So there's a few criteria that I've ranked this based off. It is based off, well, okay, first of all, to be eligible to be in this list, I either need to own it or have played it twice. So some board game arena, there are some games that I own, some games that I don't own but have played twice, and there are also some games that I've played a few times from Board Game Arena, or BGA for those that you know about Board Game Arena. So yeah, I either need to own it, have played it twice, or play it on Board Game Arena a few times. So that's what we're going to do, and there's 58 of them. I have judged this based off an amalgamation of what the game means to me personally. I have judged this based off how excited I would be to play it currently. So if I stop recording here and a family or a friend said, hey, let's play this, how excited would I be to play it now? And then the third sort of criteria that I've judged this off is how good I think the game is. So this isn't just how good these games are, this is what they mean to me, how excited I am about them still, and how good they are. So we're going to go through 58 through to 1. We're going to go 58 through to 1, and this first 58, in this first video, we're going to go down from 58 to 40. So, before we start, I should probably jump in and say that these aren't really the only games I've ever played. So ones that I'm not including on this list are games I've only played once. So I played Nemesis once. I played like a few other games once here and there, but I just don't know them or feel like I've played it enough to warrant putting it on the list. And then I'm also not throwing on stuff like Monopoly, Game of Life, Pictionary, because while we were playing those a lot as a child, as growing up, I haven't really played it in like 10 years. So I feel like there's sort of like a 10-year. We won't bother putting those ones on, okay? So, without further ado, let's begin with my 58th board game of all time. Now remember, these are my only 58 board games of all time. And I'm pretty proud, I don't know if proud is right, proud, pretty pleased that I don't think I've ever really played any stinkers. I don't play enough board games, and my friends aren't available enough to play enough board games to warrant buying loads and loads of board games, which is why I don't have a wall of 500. I don't necessarily want a wall of 500 either. So whenever I do buy them, I'm pretty careful, and luckily I don't really think I've picked any stinkers. So my 58th board game isn't crap. It's just the bottom of the 58. Okay? So the 58th game is a game called Organ Attack. I think we got this for Christmas once, the family. I don't remember who. You may or may not know this one, Organ Attack. Basically, it's a funny little card game where you get dealt a hand of organs. I think everyone has one of the same organs. So everyone has a stomach, an eye, a brain, a heart. And basically you get a hand of cards with all these funny ways to attack other people's organs, and it's quite dark at some points. I think you can give people cancer, you can give people conjunctivitis for their eye, you can give people a hernia for their intestines. Basically, you have these cards that you play to basically try and kill someone, that rest of the player's organs, and I think it's last player standing. It's actually not that bad. It's actually a little bit of fun. I think we've only played it twice. And it's not what we would normally pick up from a board game shop or anything, but for the 2 times that we played it, it was a bit of fun. So there we go. My 58th board game of all time isn't crap. It's just one that a really random one. Okay, so Organ Attack. Have you played it? Let me know. On to number 57. my 57th board game of all time is Spyfall, or any variant of it. I've got the time travel one, but I think I've played once or twice one of the other ones. I can't remember which one, but I've got the time travel one. And the reason this is 57 is I really, really liked the concept of this. I liked the thought of how good it could be. But for whatever reason, whenever I've played it, whenever I've got it out to play with my friends, and I've tried it a couple times, it's just always fallen a bit flat. So I really, really like the concept of it. But the few times I've tried, it's fallen flat. So like, if you don't know, Spyfall, you have all these locations, and they're in decks of cards, and basically there's a sheets listing about 40 or so locations that you can be in. In this case, it's different time periods, so it could be the Viking area, the Roman area, the future. Basically, everyone gets a card showing a location, the same location, except one person, and one person that doesn't know where they are, they have to figure out where they are without everyone else figuring out that they're the spy and that they don't know where the location is. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. But basically, one person has to pretend that they know where they are when they don't. And whenever we've played this, 4 out of 5 times, we always work out who the spy is. Because you basically you take turns asking a question, and you want to ask a question that lets other people know that you do know where it is, but not too specific that the person that doesn't know where it is can figure out where it is. And every time we played this, 4 out of 5 times, we easily work out who the spy is. We never get these big aha moments, maybe once or twice, but it just falls flat more often than it doesn't. So that's why it's 57 on this list. All right, next up, number 56 is A Game of Thrones, Catan. Now, normal Catan will be popping up on this list at some point. But the reason Game of Thrones Catan is down at 56 out of 58 is because we never play it. It's Catan with some extra rules where the wildlings from the north threaten to come over the wall. Is it just called the Wall? I haven't watched Game of Thrones for a couple of years now. Is it just the Wall? It's probably just the Wall. Wildlings threaten to come over and they can ruin your resource production and stuff. It's fine. It's Catan with some extra rules that kind of make it more annoying than they don't. And I also remember when we read it, the rule book doesn't specify something quite important, so we had to just guess the rule. I can't remember what it was, but like it just didn't say. One of us, or we all had a question, and the rule book just didn't answer it whatsoever. But yeah, it's Catan, and it's fine because it is just Catan. But yeah, we just don't play it as often because we don't think the extra rules of the wildlings excites us enough to bother picking it over normal Catan. So there it is, number 56. Alrighty, 50. Where are we up to? 55. We're up to 55. Down to 55. 55 board game of all time. 55th board game of all time is Trial by Trolley. Funny little party game. Basically, if you know the trolley problem, you'll know what this is. If you don't know the trolley problem, basically, well, in the version of the game, 2 teams basically fight for a judge's opinion to send the trolley down your track or the other team's track. To send it down the other team's track. So basically you lay down cards of things to go, oh, you don't want to drive your trolley over baby Jesus, or you don't want to drive them over 18 school kids, but you do want to drive over theirs because they've got the devil on theirs or something. Or no, I can't remember them, but there are some funny ones in there. Similar to Spyfall, I really, really like the concept of this game. There's a lot of funny cards in here, and you can get a lot of combinations. It's down low on the list just because I've only played it a couple of times, and it didn't quite hit the heights that in theory it could have. So yeah, that's why it's down 55. Trial by Trolley, good fun game. Just haven't played it much, and when we did, it just was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. So there we go. Trial by Trolley. All right, 54 of Liam's only 58 board games of all time. You'll notice that there's a pattern forming, and that pattern is that party games are low down on my list, mainly because they're fun, but it's not as cool as most board games. So Telestrations is number 54. Again, bit of fun for the 20 or 30 minutes that you play it. Do a couple of rounds, get some funny moments, a few moments of good laughter, but other than that, it's Telestrations is just draw a picture, pass it on, someone guesses, pass it on, draw a picture, and then you have a little funny flip book of pictures and people's guesses of what the drawings were. Bit of fun, but it's just a fun little party game, so it's not going to be on the top 10 or anything, so that's not a slide at it. As I said, Liam's only 58 board games of all time. I don't think I have any stinkers in there, so go me, I guess. 54. Okay, 53. I can't pick up and show you because I don't own it. This is the first game on the list that I've only ever played on Board Game Arena, and that is Space Base. So another trend you'll find in my only 58 board games of all time list is that anything I've only played on BGA will be probably lower than they would is if I owned it. Space Base is, I can't remember what the official term for it is. It's kind of deck building, tableau building. I can't remember what the official one is for it. Basically, you have dice 1 to 12 and sorted ships lined up, and basically with resources you earn from those cards. So if you roll a 7, you get this resource, or if you roll a 10, you get this points or something. And basically, as the game goes on, you spend those resources to upgrade each card on each number, so that you generate more points and more money, so that you race to get to, I think it's 40 points. Interesting game, bit of strategy in it, about choosing when you roll these dice, what cards to activate, and then what cards to buy to upgrade. It's kind of interesting. It's just not my favorite. It's cool. It's interesting. Again, not a stinker by any means. I know some people love it, and it's really high up on some people's lists. But to me, it's fine. I'll play it if someone wants to, but that's about it. All right, 52 on the list is another one I can't show you because I don't own it. A friend's own it. And it is Exploding Kittens. Exploding Kittens is probably one of the more mainstream games from the people that don't often play board games. They might know Exploding Kittens. Again, another party game. Bit of fun at the time. Nothing amazing going on mechanically. Basically, it's a card game, and it's last man standing. Some of the cards attack other players. Some of them cards help you defend yourself. Basically, you throw out these funny cards with cats on them, and if certain cards get played, or if you draw the Exploding Kitten, which is what the game's called, then you're out. Basically, there's a variety of different card mechanics that you play one by one, and it's last man standing. Again, bit of fun at the time. Nothing amazing going on mechanically. Again, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The bottom of my list isn't bad. It's just least interesting to me. All right, 51. We have A Game of Thrones, the second A Game of Thrones game on this list. Not the last one either. The second one is A Game of Thrones, the board game. Now, why is this one so low? Especially since most of the others are just party games. I own it, but we've only ever played it once. And it wasn't the best time. I think it could be a great time with the right group, with the right mood, with everyone committed to getting into it. It's a big old, like, sort of war game type thing. So people can get hurt, feelings damaged, a little bit of trust and betrayal in it. So mechanically, it's very interesting. And I would be keen to give it another go with the right circumstances, but it is down on the towards the bottom of the list in 51, just because I've only played it once, and it probably wasn't the right time, setting, group, the mix of that sort of thing. So, could be good. I just haven't felt it or experienced it. Am I likely to experience it? Probably not. I think this is like... This game will be in limbo on my shelf forever of me. Yeah, I would be keen to give it another go. But there's always something else I'd rather pick anyway. So, will it ever get higher on the list? Probably not. But, there you go. There you go. 51? Yeah, 51. Game of Thrones, the board game. Alright, number 50. Again, can't show you because I've only ever played it on Board Game Arena, is Azul. Azul, obviously a very, very popular game. Up there with the top 10 mainstream modern board games. It's up there with Catan, Pandemic, Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride. One of the most popular games. I've only played it on Board Game Arena. And it is an interesting sort of like abstract game. You have a mat and you have tiles that you draw from, and basically you can only draw a maximum amount of tiles per row on your mat per round. And it's just like an abstract puzzle of how to fill up your mat fastest in the most point-scory way, but also knowing when to activate the end game and end it because you know that you're in the lead and probably will win. So it's sort of a mix of puzzle of how do I fill out my board the fastest and the best, but also when do I end the game, and how do I slow other players down. So it's sort of a competitive abstract game if you haven't seen it. I'm sure most people know what Azul is. Yeah, I even say it's more than fun. It's good. It's a great abstract game. Really good competitive interactions. I just don't own it, so that's why it's lower down the list. It's one of the games in the 2024 National Board Game League. So if you're in Australia and you want to come and compete against others to see if you're the best Azul player in Australia, you can come along to that. So yeah, Azul, my 50th. Again, 50th isn't bad on my list. It's my only 58 board games of all time. Alright, number 49. Again, I can't show you. Actually, I could. We do have a very old version of it buried in a cupboard somewhere, but I can't be bothered to find it, so I'm not going to. Is Rummy King. Or most people might know it as Rummy Cub, because whenever I googled it, that's what comes up. But in Australia, at least if you got a copy from the 1970s, it's called Rummy King. It's the same game, but you go like a country difference, maybe. I don't know. Rummy King is a classic for our family. I think it's from the 70s or the 80s or something. Basically, numbered tiles. You place them down on the table in sequential order, and there's 4 different colors. And basically, the goal is to get rid of all your tiles the fastest, and if you do, you win. I think there's like a complicated scoring system if you want to use that. We don't, or my nana and my sister sometimes do. It was a common game growing up with my grandmother. We don't play it that often now just because we've got all these fancy board games. But whenever we do pull it out, our old 1970s, 1980s version, it's still a good fun for 20-30 minutes. I don't know if you know it. But yeah, 49 is Rummy King or Rummy Cup. It's Rummy King. Come on. Alright, number 48 is Photosynthesis. Everyone say that again. Photosynthesis. What an amazing cover this is. Alright, look at that. If only the game was as good. No, the game's not that bad. It's just, again, another game that, for me, personally, it's fine. But I'd rather pick something else on the shelf. If you don't know photosynthesis, you're growing trees. And you're competing to grow better trees than your opponents. And then digging them out of the earth. You score points based off how many trees you can dig up after you've planted them. Anyway, beautiful game, beautiful box, beautiful components, beautiful board. Again, the game's good. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not that exciting to me. We got it a couple of years ago. I got it a couple of years ago because I'd heard about it. It looked interesting. And again, the box sold me. Yeah, it's good. It's fine, but it's just there's so much else on the shelf that I'd rather play instead. So photosynthesis look good. He's good, just not my favourite. Alright, 47 is For Sale. This is another BGA only one for me. For Sale, you're bidding with money. Is it money? Yeah, it's money. You're bidding with money to buy properties from a value of 1, which is like a cardboard box, I think, to 30, which is a space station, I think. And then once everyone's finished bidding for all the properties, you then bid to sell them for various dollar amounts on the table. And the goal is to get the most money at the end of the game. So if you bid and you've got the level 1, the 8th, the 18, the 22, and the 29 level property, your goal is to get the most money you can from those by bidding for the money in the second round. It's fun. I like it. Again, I don't own it. I've only ever played it on BGA. It'd probably be even more fun playing it for real. So that's why it's just down in the lower half of the ranking, just because it's fun and it works and it's a good time. But I just don't own it, so I've never played it for real. So it could be better. On to 46. 46 is upstairs. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. 46 is... It is Copenhagen. Copenhagen is a game that my family found while they were in Copenhagen. They were traveling and they were in Copenhagen, and there's a very famous board game cafe there. Board Game Bastards, or the Bastard Cafe, something like that. It's quite well known. Tons of board games. And they thought, while in Copenhagen, they saw a game called Copenhagen. So they played it, they liked it, they recommended it. So we got a copy here. It's sort of like a Tetris-y type game. You make these... I can't remember what they're called, but these Copenhagen-style facades using Tetris tiles. And you acquire the Tetris tiles using cards. So if you have 4 purple cards, you can get a 4-sized purple Tetris tile, and they're all various shapes. And basically, it's a points race. Whoever can get... I can't remember how many points it is, but basically whoever can get to the points limit first by placing their Tetris tiles to build a facade. And whoever gets there first wins. It's good, fun game. It is, I think, the same designer as... No, that's something else. Same designer as something else coming later. But fun game. It's good. All right, number 45 is The Mind, and ours has got a rubber band on it because the lid keeps coming off and the cards keep going everywhere. So ours has got a rubber band on it. The Mind. The Mind is a card game where you get dealt cards from 1 to 100, and you as a team have to put them down in this sequential order without speaking to each other. So you start with 1 card each, and just by hooking up telepathically to the mind of each other, put them in the correct order. When you have 1 card, it's fine. You know, there's only 3 of you playing. If you've got a 6, you can probably safe to put it down. If you've got 99, wait for everyone else. And then each round you get more and more cards. So by the time you get to having 7 cards each, it is quite hard to put them in the right order without talking to each other, which is the point of the game. It's the challenge of the game. But it can even be funny when you've only got 2 cards and you're both refusing to put your cards down because you're absolutely certain that someone can't have a higher number than you because you got 99. And yet they do. They have the 100, and you just sit there staring at each other. So it's a fun little game. Again, a great time when you're playing it. It's just very simple. So again, simple's not bad. It's just not as exciting as the games further up the list. The Mind, great game. Very cheap too. Definitely worth picking up and having a go of. All right, 44. I can't show you because it's at my grandmother's house because technically it's hers. It is Tsuro. It is a game where you start with your piece on the edge of the board and you lay down tiles with tracks on them. And every time you lay down a tile, you have to move your piece along the track that you're connected to. And the goal is to stay on the board as long as possible. If your piece ever runs off the board, you're out. Or if your piece ever crashes into another piece, you're both out. So it's a fun game to pull out, you know, at a family gathering, at a Christmas, or either a warm-up game or a go-between game between bigger games. Each round only takes like 5 minutes, so there's definitely not much commitment there at all. But for 5 minutes, you get a fair chunk of fun out of it. So Suro is number 45. 43, again, can't show you this one either because I've only ever played it on BGA, and that is Patchwork. Most people will probably know Patchwork. It is a 2-player game. You have a quilt, or you have the space for a quilt, and you take turns drawing, again, Tetris-shaped quilt pieces to put on your board, and depending how much of the board you cover by the end, and how many spaces you got left over, you get points. Whoever has the most points wins. Fun little puzzle for 2 people. Nothing wrong with it, just doesn't really excite me. I'll play it and I'll get competitive at it when I'm playing it, but I'll probably just pick something else if it was my choice to play something. But it's definitely good. If you've got it, great. If it looks good to you, definitely pick it up. Especially for 2 players. If you need something for 2 players, it's good. Alright, 42 is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Of course, how can we leave Sherlock Holmes out? I've got the Jack the Ripper and West End Adventures set, but there are a few other sets. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them now. Basically, it's like a choose your own adventure type murder mystery thing. In here, I think there's 10 of them. There's 10 mysteries, and basically using a map and like a phone book, you read out the case, the mystery, and go, we should go talk to John Smith. So you look up John Smith in the phone book, you cross-reference it at the map. Oh, we need to read G52 to see what John Smith has to say. And basically you using your own intelligence, if you've got some. Sometimes we struggle because it's quite hard. You put together the mystery as best you can, and when you're ready, there's some questions at the back, and based off how well you can answer the questions, there's sort of like a scoring system of how well you do. Whenever we do it, we don't really care about the score, we're just, did we get it right? It is quite hard to get them all right. There's a lot of loose ends, or maybe we're just not that smart. I don't know. It's a good time. It's not really a board game, but it is definitely worth giving a go if you like mysteries, murder mysteries, solving puzzles, anything Sherlock Holmes related, murder mystery related. We just don't pull it out that often because there's a lot of reading involved, and sometimes when you want to play a board game, you don't want to do a lot of reading. That's the only negative about it. It's not a negative, it's what the point of the game is, but that's just why it's sort of bottom half of the list. Sherlock Holmes. Like mysteries, give it a go. Alright, 41 is a game called Sequence. There's a family on the back here that look like they're from the 80s, maybe early 90s. When was this printed? I don't know about when it was printed, but trademark 1981. So there you go. Lovely family on the back. Basically, I don't know if you can see in the picture, you have a board with every card from a deck of 52 cards. Jokers included. Not sure about Jokers included. No, they're not included. On a board, you each get dealt 5 cards each, I think. You can either play individually or as in teams. And the goal is to play a card. You put a token down on a matching spot on the board. And the goal is to get 2 sequences of 5. So 5 tokens in a row in any direction. or 1 sequence of 5 if you're playing with 3 teams, I think. It's very simple. You get cards, a deck of cards that comes with the game, and you just... I've got the 7 of spades, so I'm going to put a token on one of the 2 7 of spades spots, and it's just a race to get the sequence of 5 tokens together, kind of like Connect 4, but in a different way. It's simple, but it's fun. Sometimes the simplest games can be fun. It gets quite competitive and racy, so if you needed something really, really easy to teach, something to show to people that don't normally play board games, you can buy more modern versions of it than what we've got, and it's fun. So yeah, thanks for joining us for 58 down to 40 of Liam's only 58 board games of all time. Join us in the next one for 39 down to 30. Take care.